Way back in 2012, a man named Paul set out to write a rock opera with steampunk-ish elements, that's right. He had some modest success, but here he was saving his best. Then came Dolls of New Albion, and you know the rest. While there were some folks who knew this was where Paul's fame now grew. So a trilogy was Paul's next amazing move. Then some spin-offs and some cycles and podcasts and books and more. And that is how Paul Shapera's universe was born. That is the tale of how Shaperaverse was born. Several years have come to pass, and the verses grew and grew, and the players, the tangents, those are just massive too. 40 records on Paul's Bandcamp seems like too much to digest, but this one guitarist playing here, he vowed to try his best. Over several months he listened and wrote his thoughts on a page. Every piece, every song, every work from every age. And now in 10 words or less, I will give you all the rest to review them in this video and try to pass the test. Reviewing all of Paul's music was my most major test. No, I'm not gonna sing the whole thing. I'm just starting out here, sorry. Try my best. What you are about to see is a project never before attempted by human hands. This discography is long, and with a messy chronology and lore, it had to start somewhere. So let me be the first to review every Paul Shapera album. The subject of my latest musical obsession is Paul Shapera. He is nothing short of a musical genius, taking a variety of styles and genres, mashing them up together, and combining them with an epic, non-linear, convoluted, but still straightforward narrative. Shapera is a master of his craft. It's like he wanted to pitch a series to HBO, but also wanted to compose the music, and then said heck with it and wrote his own story and played that music. It's a great narrative, but loose in its canon and can be appreciated from any starting point, no matter where you go. Shapera leaves it to you, the fan, to piece together the story. And it's just insane how he's able to cram in all these tiny details and make something new. If you're listening for the story, I'd recommend starting with Dolls of New Albion, see if that wins you over. Then listen to the rest of the New Albion sequence, and you can bounce around after that. But it is all worth checking out, though. Since Paul has so many albums and so much story, I decided to focus on the ones surrounded by the red border listed here. He has a podcast and a book and some Patreon exclusives, but I'm reviewing the ones you can hear for free right now. I'm going in chronological order according to his Bandcamp. This includes the entire Shaperaverse story, starting from Dolls of New Albion, as well as his early work, standalones, Mocha Lab, and Ophook the Destroyer. If you don't know the drill, every album gets reviewed with a 10-word summary and a score in the top right. 1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest. Make sense? Good! So without further ado, let's get to reviewing. Building steam with a bean of mocha. This is not the Walt Disney version. Glad trip hop survived the 90s. There's the Paul we know and love. You had me at Cthulhu. The voice of a literal angel. I think I need to see the ballet. The most unique concept album in years. This has New Albion 7, by the way. Someone request Big Bad Voodoo Daddy for them. Something feels off about this one. Somewhat convoluted, but understandable. Got me to read the story. Fitting epilogue to the finest cycle since Wagner. What is Yam Salve? Do what you want cause a pirate is free. Really, Paul? You really did that? Hanmi is my new friend already. I laughed at the callbacks. Obviously not filler, but supplemental. A polka medley putting Weird Al to shame. Great tribute to a fallen friend. Pick an aesthetic. Like the theme, but the rest, nonsense rap, the best kind. Hard to judge if it did its job. The question is, which meme? A musical adaptation of The Fountainhead. Despite releasing late, it's Paul's first masterpiece. Okay, now it's getting weird. The twist at the end made it worth it. Of all the characters to return, hippie punk. There's a new one. Let us never speak of this again. I thought Birds of Prey was the year prior. Interesting reimagining of classic tale. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. And my favorite character returns. And that is every major Paul Shapera album reviewed. To help you pick some more recommendations, here are the best and worst of his discography. Best. Number 5, Cthulhu, the Funksicle. It's Cthulhu, one of the most fascinating original creatures in science fiction. Paul may not have known it yet, but this set the stage for his universe and became a major plot point later on. If you're confused by the story, you can tie it back to here. Number 4, Anamnesis. This is where Paul hit his stride. He went from DJ Shadow-inspired hip-hop to more folksy art-pop-inspired songs starting here. Can't quite grasp the concept, but Paul would hit his stride writing off this. This album is where anatomically modern Paul begins. Number 3, Uncle Raven's Super Happy Funtime Carnival. Raven's a treasure. He's one of the most dynamic and endearing characters in the Shapera-verse for a reason. Here, he does a medley of popular songs like Crazy and Complicated, while making them work for the story he tells. I was laughing the whole time, and hearing his backstory was rather tragic. Establishing a whole narrative around this one character is another example of Paul's genius. Number 2, Caravan. Seems weird having an early unreleased work this high, but still, it's one of Paul's most interesting experimental works. As some of his most popular songs like Soliloquy and Timepiece/Passage Rights holds up both as a standalone and a prequel to Raven and Lloyd's storyline. Striking a balance like that is incredible. And number 1, Dolls of New Albion. What more can I say? It's a beautiful, moving saga with great music and a prime starter for Shapera's mode of storytelling. As a generational saga, it's technically 4 operas in one, so listening to it may feel a bit disorienting, but most of the songs on their own are great enough to put this one on the highest pedestal. Almost overnight, this became one of my new favorite albums. And for worst, I actually like most of his albums, so number 5 and 4 are kinda grasping at straws. Number 5 is Lullabies. Not so much a matter of quality as it was that it worked. Probably should get a 10 if I fell asleep. I don't want to be hard on it as I was Lauren Osborne's wedding album. But if I did fall asleep, I can't judge what I heard, right? Number 4, The Path from Lost Hollow to New Albion. Like how it bridged the gap between stories, but as a song, I couldn't get into it. Number 3, Fairy Tales for Homeless Fairies. The first Fairy Tales had some decent songs and good moments, but this one was just less memorable. I forgot most of it when I compiled my notes. Number 2, A Govik Christmas. Look, if you can laugh off the events of that year, fine. But I think I speak for most of us when I just want the event behind us. Good intentions, just not for me. And then number 1, a Slender Man musical. He turned Slender Man into a sex object. Why? It led to nothing. Music's alright, but the subjects and the implication of the story are gross. Makes me wonder why Paul went this route after tackling the subject so tactfully with the character of Raven. Maybe Paul just had a different vision this time, who knows. Well, that's all of Paul Shapera's work until the post-human war. Let me play you out with another song. Paul's music is still coming out. Post-human war is due now, but my mission for this review has now been do this again. Unless, friends, I cannot stay. The future's always on its way. Lessons